Hello YouTube, in today's video we will talk about let and mutability in Rescript. In the previous video, we have seen how to create a value and how to bind it using a let keyword. What we haven't talked about though is how let keyword is actually immutable by default. For example, in JavaScript you can just do something like this. And that will work because in JavaScript, let keyword is mutable. But if we try to do it in Rescript, for example, so it actually gives an interesting error. It's a syntax error. Did you mean equal equal here? So this actually just Rescript is telling you that Rescript doesn't have a reassignment syntax. Because in Rescript, you actually cannot reassign a let binding. We haven't learned about equal equal yet, but it is actually a comparison operator, not an assignment operator. Rescript thinks that we want to do a comparison operator, but we don't want to do a comparison operator. We want to reassign the binding. It turns out that we can actually reassign the let binding because Rescript's let keyword is immutable by default. If we want to make a let mutable, we have to use the ref keyword. So this is how you do a reassignment of let keyword. You can also use the colon equal syntactic sugar. So these two actually the same thing. As you can see here, Rescript actually just compiles it to a JavaScript object with a contents key and the value as the value that we type. So if you're reassigning a let binding with the ref keyword in it, you're actually just reassigning the contents key in the JavaScript object. However, we can really change it to a different type. The compiler will refuse to compile if we do. So it says this has type string somewhere wanted in. Basically, Rescript says that the h let binding needs to be an int and not a string. And Rescript gives a suggestion. It says you can convert string to int with belt int from string. So I want to talk about shadowing. So you might say that we can do something like this. This actually is possible, but this is a syntax that looks like as if a let binding is mutable. But it is actually not. It is called shadowing. The second binding, which is the let age equals to 30, just shadows the first one because the second one is in a different scope than the first one. Now it is a good time to talk about scope. In Rescript, we can make a let binding a small unit of code block that contains some computation. So you can see here that Rescript evaluates that small code block of computation and just evaluates the expression to the final value. The rule of scope is the same like in JavaScript. Children scope can see what's in the parent scope, sibling scopes cannot see each other, and parent scope cannot see the children scopes. So if we try to run this code, it does what you expect. First, it prints Jane, and the second one, it prints Bob. Coming back to the topic of mutability, we have seen that primitives are by default immutable. However, the case is not that clear-cut with composite types. So what are the mutable types? First, we take a look at array. Apparently, you can mutate an array's content. Rescript doesn't actually complain about it. What are examples of Rescript composite types that are immutable? First, we have list. And another thing, we also have tuple. We can't really change anything here. But there is also a data type that's somewhat both, which is objects and records. Objects are by default immutable. So again, we encounter this really strange error message. It has no field name, hashtag, equals. Did you mean name? Basically, this just means that the object is immutable. Objects are only allowed to be mutable if it's a binding that comes from the JavaScript side. We'll revisit this in a later video. So let's take a look at records now. Records are by default immutable as well. This time, Rescript compiler complains and it gives a clear error message. The record field name is not mutable. So it turns out that we can actually make records mutable as well. If we want to mutate a record, we just have to put the keyword mutable in front of the field that we want to be mutable. Now the compiler is satisfied. So that's all for today for this topic. Let me know what are your thoughts, and if you like this type of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.